Welcome to day 2 of your writing coach, building real life writing skills. My name is Amy Brecount White. I'm a writer and writing coach, and I'm really excited you join me here today for day 2. If you haven't watched episode 1 yet, please do that first. These are going to be cumulative, so I want to make sure you don't miss out or anything or not understand anything that I say. So please do watch them in order. I also want to emphasize that I'm mostly talking about nonfiction skills here in these videos, writing nonfiction, because that's what's going to be the most valuable skill for you in your future. Your teachers, your college professors, editors, your bosses will want you to write clear, direct, vivid, succinct words. And that's what I'm going to help you do. And I'm really excited, again, that you're here to make your writing stronger. So I want to talk a little bit more about pre-writing. Pre-writing meaning what comes before you actually sit down and start putting together sentences, paragraphs, things like that. Because I think a lot of people get really intimidated by a blank screen. And thinking they need to just start, from nothing. And that's not how I write. That's not how most working writers that I know write. So I want to share some tips and advice about how you can get around, not having that blank screen, not being fearful of that blank screen in front of you. So before we do that, I want to back up a little bit and talk about the list of 5 things that you wrote down that you hate about COVID-19. And the reason I want to do this is because when you hate something, that's, obviously a really strong reaction, but that can also lead to possible topics. If you ask yourself, why do I hate this? Why am I having this strong emotional or visceral reaction to that? Let me share an anecdote from my own life experience, my own life timeline. I'll talk about timelines a little bit more today and then later. But let me share an anecdote, a life experience that shows what I mean. So when my kids were younger, and I have 3 kids who are in their 20s now, but when they were younger, I used to volunteer at their elementary school leading something called Great Books discussions. And the students would have read a short story usually and come in for a discussion of that I would facilitate. So a lot of times students would come in and they'd say, "Oh, Mrs. White, I hated that story. That story was just awful. I just hated it." And I think my reaction surprised them because I would say, "Oh, that's great. Can you tell me more? Why did you hate it?" And I would ask questions, which is part of the Socratic method of teaching, part of a seminar style teaching. I would ask questions until I would get them to articulate what it was that they hated about the story. And usually it was quite interesting, and it revealed a lot about what that child cared about, what bothered them, what they were scared of. And that's a great jumping off point for a discussion. And it's also a great jumping off point for writing about something. So I want to maybe glance back through your list of what you hated about what you hate about COVID-19 and see if there's any items that maybe you can look at more deeply to figure out what could be a writing topic for you, or maybe even an action topic for you. I look back at my list that was on my blog, and I decided, what I really need to do is I need to support one of the local homeless shelters that we've supported in the past, but I really need to look them up and see what I can do for them. So I was able to do that. I want to get into another point that I made and something else that I mentioned in episode 1, which is evidence-based writing. Really all writing should be evidence-based, and speeches too. Evidence is super important. Very few of us are experts on our topics. A lot of times you'll be asked to write about something or analyze something or research something, and what you really need to do is gather up your evidence because you yourself are not an expert on that topic. So I think that most writers in high school, middle school, even college, and I find this definitely true of my high school essay students that I coach, they start too soon to write before they've gathered enough evidence. It's much easier to write when you've gathered a lot of evidence, because then writing is figuring out how best to present that evidence to your reader, because that's the purpose of writing, right? Connecting with your reader, having that sort of mind-to-mind connection where they understand what you're trying to say, what you're trying to share. So evidence helps them to trust you, to make that connection, etc. So what counts as evidence? That's a really important question, and that's a question you really have to ask yourself whenever you sit down to write anything. What counts as evidence for my reader in whatever piece of writing I'm producing? And it varies a lot. I mean, you might be writing a lab report for a science class, and that's going to consist of statistics or data or tables, things like that. Very different from what you might do in analyzing a Maya Angelou poem, in which you might use quotations from the poem as evidence, or choose certain words as evidence of her word choice or setting, things like that you might analyze. So what counts as evidence for this assignment is a really important question to ask yourself. Now, I'm going to be looking at one particular kind of evidence today, and we'll look at other types of evidence together in the future. I'm going to look at what's known as an anecdote. Now, sometimes people talk dismissively about anecdotal information or anecdotal proof. And I get that. That's appropriate in a court of law, but we're not in a court of law here. I'm helping you to explore, who you are, what you care about, because I believe that exploration will help your writing to be stronger and help you to choose writing topics that you care deeply about, and that you'll have fun diving into in researching. So getting back to that idea of an anecdote and when an anecdote counts as evidence. So in this presentation, which could be thought of as a kind of speech that I'm giving to you, teaching, anecdote counts as evidence. I just shared a few minutes ago an anecdote from when I was a Great Books instructor for my kids' elementary school, and share that story with you to illustrate a point, to show you a point. A lot of times stories are very powerful ways for us to show something, to illustrate a point, and using details from our own story, using details from our own timeline can really help us to connect with people and share our story. So today, what I want you to do is, after I talk, go ahead and pause the video, and I want you to write down 5 adjectives that describe you. So go ahead and pause the video. Okay. You can write down these 5 adjectives that describe you, but you can also go ask other people too. You can do a little bit of research on yourself. Do sort of brief interviews with people. Maybe go ask a parent or a sibling or a neighbor or a grandparent if you're doing Zoom calls or Skype calls or whatever. What 5 adjectives would you use to describe me? And then we're going to expand on that. But it's fun to kind of ask other people what they think too. Now, I've mentioned this a couple times, but I want to expand on this concept of a timeline. So what do I mean by your timeline? So your timeline is basically from the time that you're born, let me make sure I'm in the screen, from the time that you're born to this moment now. That's your timeline. Okay, you've probably seen timelines in history class and things like that before, but maybe you've not thought of your own life as having a timeline. It does. And in most people's lives, there are points along that timeline, that are kind of more important than others. Okay, this moment in time, the COVID-19 crisis, is probably going to be one of those moments where you find a little bit more out about yourself. It's a challenge, and that's changing us and changing our world. But there's also been other points, along your timeline where something has happened, a challenge, a hardship, a change has forced you to grow, forced you to reflect. And that's usually a positive thing. So going back to those 5 adjectives, what I want you to do is I want you to pick one of those adjectives, and I want you to go to your timeline and find an anecdote that supports, that gives evidence for that adjective. Okay, so let's say you are down, oh, I'm a curious person. Share a story from your timeline, share an anecdote that shows that you're a curious person. Okay, let me give you another example. Let me share another anecdote from one of my students. So I had a student who, when I said, please give me 5 adjectives that describe yourself, he wrote down numerical. And not a lot of people had written that down before. And so I was really curious. I said, and I said, please elaborate. Why did you write that down? Tell me more. So I said, go to your timeline and share a story that shows me, that gives evidence that you're numerical. And so he did. And he shared this anecdote with me. He said when he was a little kid, he used to go to the zoo all the time with his parents, but he didn't really care about the animals that much. What he really cared about was that all the zoo enclosures were numbered, I think it was like 1 to 36 or something like that. And he just loved going from 1 to 36. So much so that his mom had made him a little scrapbook with pictures of him under each of the numbers, 1 through 36, so he could look at the scrapbook and go from 1 to 36 at home. Numerical. Okay, we get it. That's a great story to illustrate what he means. What he then was able to do with the essay was really explore, looking at his whole timeline again, really explore how being numerical had impacted so many of his decisions, how he interacted with other people, how he made his mark, he made his impact on the world. And it ended up being a really, really fabulous essay about himself. Now, we're not just going to be working on personal essays, but again, I want to start there because that's a way to figure out, again, what you're going to care about, what you do care about, and what you'd like to dive in and write about. Okay, so what I want you to do, again, take one of those adjectives and write a paragraph taking an anecdote from your timeline that supports that adjective. Try to use I. It should be in first person. It's your personal experience. Use I. Try to use some strong verbs, okay? You can also add sensory or setting details. Specific details are something else that helps count as evidence in your reader's mind, and you really want to make that connection and make your story, what you care about, come to life in your reader's mind. So your main takeaway is anytime you have to give a speech, anytime you have to write something, ask yourself, what counts as evidence in this setting, in this, for this topic, and then go start gathering that evidence before you start writing. If you enjoyed this, please share this with people who might be interested. And again, please make any suggestions or ask any questions in the comments, and I will see you next week. Take care.